I've spent over 600 days in this world, and I've created some of my best builds ever, but a lot of these episodes have taken a little too long. That's because I don't have an elytra. So in today's episode, I want to defeat the Ender Dragon and create a tower as a space to do all of my enchanting. Speaking of enchanting, there is a base level of enchanting that I still have to do before I can defeat the Ender Dragon today. For example, I really just don't have a good bow to use. I have an infinity bow, which is good, but no other enchants. So I created another bow, and I want to see if I can get maybe power 4 on here, and that should be good enough. My armor is also pretty bad right now, so I kind of want to get mending on all of it so it doesn't break during the fight. Like I said, I need to get some mending books, so I'm going to go down into my little villager trading hole. But I do need to trade with the Fletcher villager first and get a ton of sticks. So just like that, I have 16 emeralds, and luckily this guy only has a 14 mending trade, so we can get all of these books pretty easily. I also need mending on the elytra that I'm going to get later, and I need mending on my sword. So along with the armor that I have to get, I need about 6 or 7 mending books, so I'm going to keep trading with these guys. And it's time to put mending on all of my armor and my sword. So now that is much better. I don't have to worry about my armor breaking. But again, I'm going to need to enchant this bow before I can do any fighting. And I'm going to need to mend up all of these tools and my armor. So I might be down here for like 2 hours. Yeah, this thing's pretty slow. Well, anyways, I've mended up all of my tools and I've hit level 30. Well, I can finally get power 4 on my bow, and honestly, that is so much better than the last bow I did. And I can place down my anvil, and if I combine these two, I can then put infinity on it, and now we have a maxed out bow, pretty much. But there is still a few more things I need to do before I can defeat the Ender Dragon. The first thing I need to do is go into the Nether. Now while I'm in here, I need 2 things. I need ender pearls, and I also need blaze powder. So I need to get blaze rods. I think there's a fortress, yeah, just right there. After a few minutes, I have just under half a stack of blaze rods, and now I have half a stack. Well, I have found my way out, and now I just need to find a warped forest in order to get the endermans to spawn. Well, I got hot tourist destinations, and I'll be honest with you guys, that notification actually just scared me so bad. That was a heart attack. Well, I got my second enderman though, so that's good. Traveling to the end inside of the Nether to collect eyeballs, which is really odd if you think about it, how there is an end type of biome in the Nether. I haven't really thought about that until now. And now I have 22 ender pearls after I killed the last one, and that is definitely good enough for me to just go back home. Back home now with my ender pearls and blaze powder, I want to grab some brewing stands and some bottles, and I want to make some slow falling potions. I of course need just a few more glass bottles. I forgot I don't have nether wart, so I gotta go back to the Nether. Oh no. But sadly, I need to wait out a few nights because I need phantom membranes for the slow falling potions. So I'm just gonna stare out this window and wait for the sun to come down a few more times. Okay, the sun's coming down, and when I say I've AFK'd like 4 nights, I'm not joking. I don't know why phantoms are not spawning. I don't know if I need to like throw some Pringles on the ground or like leave a trail of bread for them to show up, but like, dude, there's giant bags behind these eyes. And oh, there they are. There's my good friend. Waited all this time for one of them. Just one of these little guys. And honestly, that's all I need. In total, I've already spent like 5 hours on this video, and yeah, all I've done is repair my tools and get some phantom membranes. What I've also done in the meantime though, when I was waiting for the phantoms to spawn, is I've gotten some firework rockets, and I updated the map and put it up here. It doesn't show much, but I think I'm gonna fix this later in the episode and map out this entire region. But now that I'm over here, I can grab some of the nether wart, and I can make some slow falling potions, which I think you need a nether wart first and then a phantom membrane. And then I think I can use some redstone to make them last longer. The good news is I have no redstone, and that bumps it up to 4 minutes. That's 12 entire minutes of slow falling. That is definitely enough for me. And I'm just gonna go ahead and make another anvil so I can put mending on my elytra once I get it. Now all I need to do is make some Eyes of Ender, and now I can just go ahead and see which direction this takes me. And it's back towards where the castle is, and it broke. That's not a good omen. I've made it all the way on the other side of the mountain near this cave, and I'm throwing another one. It's taking me over there. Probably should have thought about this before I threw the Ender Pearl. So it is taking me over here towards where Pink Sheep is, which gives us a nice view of the white stone castle. So now I am on the other side of this cliff kind of river right here, and I have such an amazing view of this world. Oh, it's so beautiful up here. I am going to throw another one. It's just continuing to take me towards the village. Well, it's asking me to go this way, so I guess it's somewhere in the middle right here in between these three tall oak trees. So I'm guessing it's like in the river then? Yeah, okay, so I'm just gonna go in the river and dig straight down. Well, I hear a zombie, which means there's a cave nearby, and I am in here. Oh, there's a geode. That's kind of fancy looking. Is this the portal room down here? It is. And we get the eye armor trim. And I'm just gonna hop straight in here. I always get so nervous, even though this fight's pretty easy. I just now realized I forgot a pumpkin. Well, thankfully there's pumpkins out here, but I don't have any shears on me, so that's no fun. Okay, found some iron, and I made some shears, and I got the carved pumpkin. Well, and there's a spawner? I was just like, you know what, let me just explore down here for no reason. We're gonna do that some other time. I'm scared. I don't know why, but we're going in. Not the greatest in the world. Oh my. Nice place to put a crater. Minecraft, thank you. I'm having PTSD from the last time I was in this dimension. I don't like it. I'm missing every single shot. I gotta lock in. I hate when Endermen just scream in my ear. That was so terrifying. Well, the Ender Dragon just flung me 10 feet in the air. That was scary. That was a jump scare. Please don't do that again. Really am struggling with this tower. Please. I feel like this dude's being far more aggressive than he usually is. Now the last one is the tall tower. And I hit it. There we go. Get away from me! Dude is so aggressive right now. I don't know what I did to annoy this man. Actually, I think I know what I did. It is now time to drink my slow falling potion and my strength potion, though. And I think I just need to hop behind this guy and keep hitting his head. This guy's not too bad. He's swooping down. I should be able to just kill him right here. And again, I think I just gotta touch his toes over here. Oh, this guy was so easy. Oh my god. Get better. Now, I'm curious. Leave a comment. What do you guys do with your dragon egg when you get it? I feel like I never do anything with it. Maybe I can think of something to do with the dragon egg and create lore behind it. But right now, my focus is on getting myself an elytra. Oh, right on top of the chorus fruit. That's exactly what I was expecting. And there's an end city right there. I don't think it has a ship, though. I traveled over to the first end city I found, which sadly did not have a ship and therefore no elytra, but I did get plenty of shulker shells, which I will gladly take back home. And now I have spotted the city, and it has a ship over there in the distance, so that is absolutely amazing. That is the smallest city I've ever seen in my entire life. But you know what? I'll take it. I don't think I need anything much more than that. Hoping I don't fall into the void and I don't lose the world. That would be horrendous. I've made it. I finally got it. Ooh, and a good pickaxe. That's pretty nice. And some leggings. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. Some emeralds. Nice, nice. And now I can take flight for the first time in this world. I haven't done this in so long. It feels great. This is kind of trippy. I can see the main end island from here. That's kind of awesome. But I actually found a portal so I can just fly through here. And I can finally head on back home. And I'm back by the spawn. I haven't been here in a while. And I don't know why there's a bee up here. I don't know how to tell him this, but there's no flowers up here. Nothing grows up here, dude. But oh my god, I get to see the entire world. And now flying on back home, I just need to do a couple things. Now that I have an elytra, I also want to do some enchanting. I just now realized I had a sharpness 5 book here on the shelf. I'm definitely going to take that. And then I can make a few books myself. So with 56 levels, I want to see what I can get on some books first. So I can get an Unbreaking 3 book right here. That means I can already put Unbreaking and Mending on my elytra. I got another Unbreaking book, and another Unbreaking book, and I got an Efficiency book. So with a little bit of my enchanting done, I can start gathering materials for today's episode, which I created a few shulker boxes for, and of course to get in the Halloween spirit, placed a jack-o'-lantern. For the build today, I wanted to go for something a bit smaller, as I've been putting a little bit too much time into each episode. With that being said, I of course have to do my daily gathering of spruce wood, also hitting the caves for a bit to gather tuff, which will be the main block for the tower I want to build. After gathering tuff, I went to the other side of the world back into the caves to collect some moss. There was also a savanna nearby, which was perfect as I needed a good amount of acacia wood as well to blend in with the tuff I just gathered. I then traveled another short distance to the nearby desert to collect azalea leaves, as I really just prefer the azalea leaf texture over any other leaf block. After spending time in the desert, I flew back towards the west to collect a tiny bit of terracotta and some string for candles, and some cobwebs, as I plan on doing the entire interior for the tower today, so I started stripping a ton of logs, as I was going to use as a sort of wallpaper block for the inside of the tower. And lastly, I planted a few pale oak saplings to gather up pale oak, as the base log block is a very good darker looking stone texture. I've now gotten most of the material gathering done. As you can see, every shulker box I made is filled up with blocks. All different types of them, because I also want to build the entire interior like I have been saying. Now, part of the interior is going to be a library, as I want this to be an enchanting tower, but for a library you need bookshelves, and bookshelves are best found in the Stronghold library. I just have to remember where the hole is. I think it's somewhere around here. Aha, there it is. Anyways, I need to collect a ton of bookshelves. Sadly, I don't have Silk Touch on my axe, so this is going to take a little bit longer than it should. So I decided to clear out the entire bottom level, but I don't have the patience for the top level. I even took the cobwebs out of the room because I need some string for candles. This actually reminds me that there's a spawner over here. Spider? No. Hey, skeleton's actually pretty good. I might use this at some point. So with the bookshelves acquired, I also want to make some chiseled bookshelves to go along with them. And I know I have a ton of wood in one of these chests, and I can just turn all the slabs that I have and planks into the chiseled bookshelves. So I can make 42 of them, and I think that's actually as many as I'm going to need. With all of the materials collected, I want to start by removing this entire oak forest. Again, everything I try to do in this world requires me to destroy an oak forest. I also had to do a little bit of terraforming to bring the land back up the hill at a more extreme angle. With the area flattened out, the first thing I want to do is create the entryway for the tower. Now, the main block I'm going to be using today is tuff, of course, but I'm also going to be mixing in a decent amount of mossy blocks and the cracked stone bricks as well. I also want to mix in a bit of acacia wood, which I haven't really used much in this world, but will go perfectly with these other blocks. I also want to create a big spruce door, so I'm going to grab some trapdoors and some normal doors, as well as some stripped spruce logs. The first thing I want to do is I want to create kind of a guard wall here along the left side of where the door will be. So I'm going to go around with some tough bricks and then mix in some mossy and cracked stone bricks, as well as some acacia wood. And for now, I want to wrap this round to about here. I also want to go up here along the right side as well, as the door is going to be somewhere here in the middle. I've built up more of the guard wall, but right now I want to start building the arch for the door. So I'm just going to use some tough stairs to round it out here at the top. And then for the actual door, I'm going to place a couple spruce doors with a stripped spruce log, and then I want to go up with a couple oak logs just for some texture. And I also want to mix in some spruce trapdoors, which won't look good from this side, but from the exterior, I think it'll look pretty nice. And of course, just going to round it up here at the top again. And there we have a good looking door. Now, because I can't help myself from adding a little bit more texture, I want to find some spruce signs, and I can place them here to kind of round out where the oak and spruce meet. And there we have a pretty nice looking door. Up here at the way top of the wall, I want to create some battlements, which are just kind of spots where people can shoot arrows through for further defense. And now we have the front entryway completed. I stole the idea of an enchanting tower from my good friend Shrammy, but I wanted to find some good references for the actual tower. I instead ran into a lot of keeps, which have a sort of guard wall surrounding it, so I guess this isn't a traditional tower. I've also mentioned it plenty of times before, but the people over at Westeros Craft have heavily inspired the way that I'm trying to build and create my world, so I've really been taking a lot of notes from their videos to really understand how medieval life would work, and how an area like this would be laid out and function. I've really been trying to recreate some of what I see in their videos as a learning experience for myself. It's really taught me a lot about why certain things are laid out and look the way they do. Now if I go through the front entrance, we have now this area here where people can guard the tower, which will be of course in this spot. Have some spaces kind of jutted out a bit for even more angles of protection. I have a space for a well right here, and I've kind of carried it around going along this way at a slight diagonal. As I was saying though, I want to put a well up there, so I'm going to grab some tough walls and some spruce fences, as well as some more trapdoors and slabs. And I should have a ton of levers somewhere. They were in my inner chest the whole time. There we go. I need about 4 of these. Anyways, I want to give people who live in this tower a way to have fresh water just in case they're under like a siege or something. You would see a well in here. And then I want to have some trapdoors going along the sides with a slab to round it up here at the way top. I also forgot I don't need these fences here. So let me break these real quick. But I want to put the fences in the middle, and then I want to connect it using some levers facing this way. So now when you're looking at it from this angle, the levers just connect to the fences. And what I was thinking is maybe putting a couple chains kind of going down, and then I could always put something to make it look like a bucket, but I think it'll be okay. And I think that is a pretty good well design. With the well in, I want to come up here and place in some barrels just for some extra storage up here where the battlements are. With that done now, I want to get started on the main tower. This will be using a lot of the same blocks that I've been using, except I want to bring in some more dark tones using some deep slate and some pale oak wood to kind of mix in here between the deep slate and tough that I've been using. As well as a bit of cyan terracotta and some spruce fences for windows. Lately, I've been using Axiom a lot to build, especially to add texture to large areas very quickly, but this build was a very good excuse for me to get back to my roots and do texturing the way that I'm best at, which is by hand, and I would say this has turned out better than anything I could do with a program and a few commands. The tower is starting to gain a bit of height, and it's looking pretty good now, especially with the texturing. I absolutely love the way that these colors are blending together. But towards the top, I want to do something just a little bit different, and I want to grab a ton of walls. As I want to extend the width of the tower a little bit, and with me using a ton of walls, I of course want to also use some gray stained glass to connect them a little bit better. So now I can just fly on up here with my elytra, and I want to extend the height of the wall just a little bit more. And I want to create a cool shape here using some walls just to get started. So I'm going to go up with some mossy brick walls with a tough wall right here, and then I want to connect them using some fence gates, which you won't really see from a distance as it kind of blends in with the tough, but creates a nice arch shape here. Now from this point on, I want to make it just a wall around the edge of the build. Again, just to extend it out ever so slightly here along the edges. I've used some more of the walls to extend it like I've been saying, but I want to also get some of that gray stained glass and connect them a little bit more because it creates a darker color, but also connects it just so there's a little bit less of this showing. Now I've made my way up to the very top of the tower where I want to create some arches for some small windows. Now these will look very, very similar to the arches I made down there, just using the spruce fence gate here at the top, and then I'm going to round it out more with the tough walls. But again, to get rid of the deep slate texture on the side, I want to go up with the gray stained glass. And I want to just continue this going up and around the entire top side of the tower. And then lastly, up here at the top, again, I want to create a trim using some jungle, spruce, and oak just for a little bit of texture. And then I want to mix in between these slabs and trapdoors just to make it look like maybe it has a little bit of age as well. Adding the wooden trimmer on the top, I just needed to finish the tower by adding in a roof using full blocks and walls to achieve the shape I want. Now the final thing I want to do is create a family flag design up here using some bamboo and some pale oak. Now I want to make it look like it's waving in the wind, so to do that I'm going to give it a little bit of a curve, and to curve it just a little bit more slightly I want to use some trapdoors on the edge. And yeah, that's looking pretty good. Looks very similar to what I did on the castle over there. And let me land on this tree. Oh, it looks so good in the distance. I absolutely love the tower. There's just something so cool about having a tower or a castle up at the top of a hill. And when you're walking in the farming village, it just is very, very nice just being able to see it up here towards the top. Now, I don't think any like king lives in here. I think this is just made for like a rich family. Somebody with wealth and maybe some power in this area, but not necessarily somebody super important, just kind of a wealthy family. Now the only thing that's bothering me is the amount of grass that is spread throughout the courtyard, but I'll figure that out later. But right now what I do want to do is I want to get started on the interior, and it's pretty dark in here. I'm hoping there's no skeletons. So I'm gonna have to get some torches, but you can already see I have one of the main staircases already put in, and then you can see the shape of some rooms as well, as this will be the grand hall, and a lot of torches to be placed. So let me hop on out of here and light this area up a little bit. Definitely don't want a creeper to explode, and I mean there's nothing more annoying than building something and then hearing the zombies underneath it. That is the fastest skeleton. Dude, what is this guy's 40 time? Oh my god. Well, I have most of the area lit up now. I'm hoping no more mobs spawn down here. To get started on the interior, I first removed the grass and dirt that was in the way and built up the walls and shapes for rooms using the same blocks I used on the exterior. Now I have the layout of the basement area finished, where this will be the kitchen. I have a little closet in here, and then I have a little space here for some storage. Now the first thing I want to do in this room is create a window using the iron bars. Since this is storage, I want to give them some hay, maybe for when it gets cold, or maybe just some storage for the winter, or if they bring in some horses. And then I love adding in a tripwire hook on these just to make it look like it could be some storage for wine. So I've created some more barrels and a composter here along this side, and now I want to bring in some brown carpet just to make it look like some dirt is piled up just a little bit taller. And now we have the storage room. Going through here, I added in some barrels for extra storage, I added in a torch, and then I added in another one here on the wall that I love with the lever that attaches to a candle. And now again, I want this area to be room for the kitchen. So along the wall, I want to add in a bit of a counter using the smithing table. And then I also want to add in a sink using a composter, and then to kind of connect it, I want to add in the mangrove sign. I added in a small shelf here, and I want to use some of the chiseled shelves, not for books, but just to make it look like maybe we can store some food or some bottles up here. So I have a space laid out in here where I want to put in the furnace where they can actually cook the food. So I'm going to go around with some bricks, and then I'm going to use some upside down stairs, and then round it up here at the top. Just like that, and it creates a nice looking furnace shape. I've added in some extra details and some glow lichen to light it up a little bit more, and I want to put a chain going across the top to make it look like maybe they can have some food or some pots hanging from here. So I actually want to put a decorated pot that's kind of hanging right here. I want to make it look like they're actually doing some baking in here, so I want to make a couple cakes. Now I've added in some more shelves into this room, which is now completed. And of course, I created a small storage closet along the staircase. Now, the next thing I want to do is create the dungeons, which will be going down here. So first, I of course have to dig an area out just to create a staircase along the edge of the build. To go off the idea of historical accuracy, the lowest area would have a dungeon and prison area to keep anybody the family doesn't like to beat and torture. I mean, to give them their own cozy space to live. So I have a bigger prison cell right here, and then two smaller ones with some beds. I also put in some cobwebs, the gas head in here to make it look like maybe they're doing some weird experiments, with also the bottle of Enchanting. And then something that is just a little detail that I think goes a long way is the dripstone. Not only because it creates rocks, but it also creates a dripping sound effect, which I think just goes along with the basement dungeon feel, and I really love it down here. So now I have completed the entire bottom half of the tower. Now traditionally, a kitchen would be very close to a great dining hall, which is what is going to be up here, like I mentioned before. The first room I want to work on is right here, which will be the church room of the tower. The first thing I want to do is I want to create an altar here just so people can put some candles on it. So I'm going to do a shape like this using some stairs, and then let me put some candles on top of it, and then let me get my flint and steel so I can light some of those. Now I want to make a banner with the colors of the castle that I made in episode 3 to kind of tie back into the same religion. I want to create a table using a lectern and then some spruce stairs, and then I want to add a tabletop to it using some of the hanging moss. Not much going on in here, it's a little bit simple, but this is one of my favorite rooms in the entire tower. Now in the grand hall, I want to create a grand table for the family to eat at, which is just going to be a simple spruce stair table. And I guess in these areas you wouldn't see like a table with chairs, but you would see like a bench almost. So I'm going to use the campfires just so there's a little bit of space between the bench and the table, even though it doesn't look super comfortable, especially when the campfires are lit. Now of course there's also going to be a fireplace in here, so I'm going to put in 3 campfires, but I'm going to put out these 2 just so there's not a ton of smoke in here. So now they have the fireplace at the end of the table. Of course I also want to put in some small tables along the side of the room, and I'll put one here along the back. Now of course in here they would have some wine, so I'm also going to give them some cups, which I can go ahead and put on the table, as well as some plates, which will just kind of match the cups with the jungle pressure plates. And then I just want to put in some candles in here, just to kind of look like a table topper kind of thing. And I think that's looking pretty good. So now it's a pretty simple space in here. There's not a ton going on, but I think it's looking very, very nice. There is a small detail that I want to put there though, and I might want to do this in like every castle and tower and place like this in my world. I want to grab a couple pieces of iron and a stick, and I want to make an iron sword. So along here, I want to put like a sword along like a mantle, so it looks like maybe like a family sword, and I think that's kind of a cool detail to put in the grand hall. Now my favorite detail, oh, you guys are better, you better be ready for this one. If you guys don't know what this is, it's a little bathroom. A little privy in here. Anyways. Yeah, this doesn't make too much sense. They wouldn't be pooping next to where they eat. I don't think that doesn't make sense, but it's fine. It's Minecraft. There's no smell. These people don't smell. They don't have noses. But I also have like another small detail that I want to add that goes along with this. It's a little gross, but let me just go outside. You see where that hole is right there? Yep, that's where the bathroom is. So I want to create a pipe that'll extend going all the way up to where that is. So this will of course just give the lore behind where the poo-poo and pee-pee goes in the tower. I also want to place some jungle logs in here just to look like logs, as well as some mossy cobblestone to make it look like the ground is a little bit fertilized, and to make it look like it's actually stuff is coming out, I'm going to put in some of the brown stained glass. And there we go. Just a little small detail to the side of the tower. Is it realistic? A little bit. Also, I don't think it would be flowing out right here. But also, where else would it be flowing out? I don't know. Something's going on. Something's going on for sure. I have the second level of the tower done, complete with a small church room and the dining hall. Building up to the next level, I first created a long hallway with birch and oak wood, and then created some smaller living areas for servants of the tower, maybe people who work and help maintain the space. I then built up a small bathing area, and a larger room for members of the family to stay and sleep. Now I did leave one room that is unfinished here at the end of the hallway. And that is because I want to put some beds in here, as this is going to be the armory and where the, I guess, guards would stay. And then I was thinking, if I want to give them a ladder up, I'll just use some spruce signs on the end of the beds. I also want to give them a little bit of light in here, as well as a ladder, which kind of looks like some shelves, as well as some actual shelves using some spruce trapdoors, and then I'll give them a bit of storage with a chest. But of course these guards wouldn't be able to fall asleep in here without a nice little flower pot. So right here is a small section for the guards to sleep. But down here I want to create a little kind of jut out section using some spruce wood and jungle wood. So down here I want to create a bit of an extension of the building using a mix of the spruce trapdoors and slabs going every other block, as I want to give them a bit of a height advantage against people that would be willing to attack the tower. I want this to be made out of spruce trapdoors completely, so I'm going to put some trapdoors along the outside of the building, and then right here I want to place some trapdoors from the inside, because with the base trapdoor texture it gets a little bit repetitive and boring, and with it being on this side I can place signs on top of it just to give it a little bit of texture. And in fact I want to do that across the entire build as much as I can. I've built up a little bit more with the trapdoors, and before I add on the roof I want to give it a little bit of support using some of the spruce fence gates. I also want to make it so that these windows I created can actually open and close, so if I put a trapdoor going over top of them, it'll actually give them a bit of functionality. But what I can actually do is leave some of them closed just for some variety. To complete the guard area, I added in the roof using some mud to blend in between the spruce and jungle wood. Now what I can do on the inside is bring a wall around, as I don't want the space to be super small in here, and this just gives us a little bit more space to walk. So I can create a table using some scaffolding on the middle, and then of course a place for some storage of some weapons and everything like that. I also like using tripwire hooks to look like places where they can hang maybe some weapons or something on the wall. Now I also wanted to use the item frames to make it look like they have the bows that they're going to use stored on the wall as well. And I again have the invisible item frame, so I can just shift and right click them, have them all facing that way so they can just take them off the wall. So now if you're looking at the tower from the front side, it just adds that little bit of extra shape to the build. Now, again, I don't really know how realistic it would be to have this on the side of the build, but I don't really care. It looks cool. Now, strategically, making structures out of wood is not the smartest, as a flaming arrow would just take them down instantly, but that's fine. But now if I go up these stairs, we have, of course, the downstairs that I've already built up, and then going up these stairs, we have the living quarters, where we have a smaller house maybe for some of the servants in here, or a smaller room. And then in here we have a larger quarter area for maybe somebody that has a little bit more importance, or just a little bit more space to actually live in. And also I love using the crafters as shelves. Oh, it looks so good. But this also connects to the guard area, so I'm thinking whoever lives in here is probably a little bit more important. Now in the middle room here we have a bathroom, like an actual bathroom, some place for people to bathe. And then of course at the end we have the armory, which leads down into where I just was. And now I am nearly finished with the build, and I can just do a quick little tour of what I have built up. So I first have a little storage closet in here for whatever they need to store, and then of course this will be where the enchanting table goes. This is the library area. And then going through here, we have another pretty big hallway that I want to put some like armor and stuff in here. I'm not exactly sure what this place would end up being though. And then the door to the left has the kind of Lord's main bed chambers with the big bed. Just a lot of room in here. And then going in here, these are like the work chambers, I guess, where they would have like a raven and they would send letters out to people, maybe through that window. And then we have more of the library going up. This, I guess, would be the like restricted section of the library, especially in here. This one's kind of tucked away. I really love using the hanging signs with the candles to make a chandelier, because you can make a circle shape out of them. But I do have to get the enchanting table, so we can actually do some enchanting up here. But now, this will get us to level 30 enchants, which is perfect. And I also do have some extra books that I want to put in these, and I can always just grab these too if I wanted to enchant some books as well. And yeah, I'm really loving this. Is like a very cozy enchanting setup. It looks pretty nice. I also downloaded a sound mod, the popular sound mod. So I'm gonna turn my volume up and show you guys what it sounds like in here. It sounds so cool. I didn't realize that with this mod, the barrels, which I used a lot of barrels for the floor, it makes it sound very creaky, which I think is amazing. Like it sounds like a very old floor when you walk around in here, and I think that sounds so cool. Now that I have the interior complete though, I want to give the courtyard space a little bit more love, as well the grass is spreading like I said earlier, and it's pretty empty out here. To add detail to the outside of the build, I placed a few azalea leaves down and added in a small area for people to practice their skills with a bow. So now, really the last part of the build that I want to do is I have some custom trees that I want to put in here, but the first thing I want to do is create the armory, as there is a little room right in here, and it's not looking great. I'm going to create a small room, but I also didn't realize there was like another area right through here. This is kind of creepy. I don't like it. So now I have the armory finished, and there's actually a cool detail that I didn't realize with the sound mod. If I walk over this, it creates a bunch of sounds of like chains, which is really cool. And that's because I have pale moss carpets with chains underneath them, which looks cool from down here, as it looks like a broken ceiling, and also creates that subtle like overhang down here, which just kind of looks like the hanging moss, but just a different texture. Here's a better look at the armory I just created, a space for people of the tower to store their weapons and armor. The area was feeling a little boring though, so I went outside again and created a large oak tree and some more smaller details to the rest of the area. If you guys want a world download for the tower, that will be released after this episode. So if you become a tier 2 member or above, you get access to the world download, or if you become a patron. I've also left a book in one of the bookshelves in the tower. If you guys can screenshot it, the first person to screenshot it in the Discord, I don't know what you get. Maybe I'll give you a shout out in the next episode. The next episode, I have something pretty special planned for the Halloween season, so if you're excited for that as well, definitely stick around for next episode. And I will see you guys in the next one.